Now, if we look at the Folio documentation and we head down a bit, I showed you one way of making a Folio page, but there is another way of making a Folio page as well. I would say it's not really easier because you could just create the page from your text editor, but there's also a Folio page command that you can do and create your pages like that. Now, something else you can do too is create them within nested routes, and that's what I'm going to do for our users. So I'm going to grab this one just so you can see what it looks like and just see if I'm bugging or not, which one is easier, but that's what you can do. So I'm going to grab this and copy it. And then here I am going to open up the terminal. And I am going to go ahead and paste that in. Our route, it's not going to be under user, it's going to be under admin. And the page that I am going to create, the first one, I'm going to put it in the admin folder, in the users folder, and then we're going to have separate pages for the different things that we're going to do. We're going to do create, read, update, and delete for our users. We're going to do them pretty quickly, so it's not going to be too crazy. But to show you what I mean is we can do index here, press enter, and now that's just created a new page for us in our views, pages, admin, users, and then it's created the index.blade.php. The only difference from ours is that it has this in here. Whichever is easiest, you're going to have to decide for yourself. I think that just manually doing it is way quicker than doing a command, but maybe not as much because we have a few subfolders in here. But anyway, let's go ahead and I'm going to grab the beginning part of this from our dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and paste that here just so that we have the initial setup for our index. Again, because I'm going to name it, it's going to be admin users index, and that's going to be the name of this page. Under here, I'm just going to call this users. And actually, I don't even need that. I don't need that because it's going to be a table, so we can just do that manually as well. We have this stuff in here. I'm going to grab the table and put it in. So from here, we can come over to the users.html, which is really, this is index. We'll come down from the aside. And I just left all of the styling in here just so that you could see what it looks like without the, if you just wanted to go look at it straight from the folders without having to create a project. So I'm going to copy this part. Then here I am going to grab all of this and I'm going to paste it in here. How did we do? Not great. We're going to have a link to users create, and we need a route to it. Go up to our layout. I can close these now because we're done with these. We'll go to our app layout, and in our aside here, we can do route. And we named it admin.users.index. Go ahead, refresh that. And now, as you can see, we have an admin/users blank with a route. We didn't create a new route for it, but we do have the route. We have the users table as a title, create button, and this is where we're going to be looping over our users. I'm sure you're wondering, how are we going to get users if we're not using controllers? We're not using the web route, so we can't really add the functionality to be able to do that, the logic for it. And we can't really put it in the provider because that's not really a thing. What's the alternative? How do we get users to display on here? We only have a couple of them. How do we get them to display? Well, there is a thing that you can do, and this is actually in the documentation. It's just weird for me to be saying that because it's not something that I like to do. I don't like to add additional functionality within the Blade file. It just, for me, it's very, very busy. It reminds me of way back when this was a thing, and it hasn't been a thing for a very long time, but bygones. So what you can do here is use Laravel's helper function, which is the PHP. For some reason, this doesn't work with this up here, but it will work with what we're doing here. So we can make a variable, we'll say users, and we'll say users equals user, the user model, all. And then we can do use app models user, just like we would in a controller, just using the model just like that. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to come down here and let's see how we're going to do that. Now for me, what I like to do is if we had no users in the database, I don't want it to be a blank screen and I don't want it to throw up an error. Laravel has a really easy way of doing that with, instead of doing for each, you can do for else. And then here we can do users as user, because now we're getting that user variable right up top and we can use that. I'm going to grab this whole row, paste it here, and now we can just start filling it in. This will be user name or ID. This will be name. This will be email. And I'm going to just comment that out for now. We'll have it created at here. And let's just see what we have now. Oh, for the else, if that doesn't show, there's nothing. Let's see the browser and see what we have. We refresh it. We have all of our users, and we've got 2 buttons here for each. One is to edit, one is to delete. I didn't change up the colors because I'm lazy, but as you can see, we do have the users. Now, because we're using Blade, we can use a lot of the Laravel stuff that goes along with it. Something that we can do here is, even though we have this as the timestamp, we can actually change it to something more user-friendly. And we can do that right in here. Since we're just adding everything to this at this point, I don't see a problem with this. We'll do the created at, and we'll just use Carbon's helper. And I am going to copy this because that's how I want to format it. There you go. Now we have the date, August 2nd, 2025. You can format that obviously however you want. It's just pretty simple to do it like that. And we are displaying our users. Great. But as you can see, this is where this will kind of fall flat. There's cool stuff about it, but it also kind of falls flat. So if you want to do some really cool things with like creating CRUD, or if you think that this is a replacement, a direct replacement for Breeze, that's not what this is. It's just not what this is. If you want to have a direct replacement for Breeze, just use Breeze or Livewire or whatever it is. This is just another way of dealing with the routes, right? If we want to create, read, update, and delete, we have to actually use the routes, because the way Folio is doing is it's just using it as a routing system just to kind of get you around the app. So this is very, very good for static pages. But if you want to do something more like this, then you have to do more work to get this to work. Right? But we still have Laravel as our backbone, which means we can use Laravel. Let's create a route for this. We'll create a setup for it. We'll do the logic and everything to create a user and get that sorted. So let's go to the web routes. I'll just drop that down because that's not important. And then we'll create a route group, because this is all going to be under the same sort of a thing. So we'll do routes prefix. And our prefix is just going to be admin. We'll even give it a name. That does not look right at all. The name will be admin users dot, and then we can finish it off in the routes. So middleware, well, we are going to have middleware, but for now, I am going to just make it a group function because we're going to have a couple in here. Why don't we do this? We'll make all of our routes and then we'll create them in the controller and then we'll just add them to the pages. We'll do routes host. This one is going to be to admin users. And I suppose we need a controller for this as well. I'll call it user controller. I'll make it in a second. This will be to store. And the name will also be store. This will be a patch. We'll even use root model binding for this. And I'll show you how Folio handles the root model binding as well. But for here, we'll put user. This will be update. And then for the post, delete, post patch, and this will be delete. We'll also need this thing. And the method will just be destroy and destroy. And I'm going to comment this out so that I can make the controller. Call it user controller, and I won't put it in a folder or anything. I'll make it a resourceful controller, and the model will be user. Hopefully that worked out all right. User controller and the user model. Great, so now we can go ahead and import that into our web route. Our routes are all done. We shouldn't have to come back here for anything. So let's go up to that user controller, and we're not going to need index create. Remember, we're not using this route. In here, we're going to need that page, and that one we called Joe. Well, actually, we called it create. We can come over here and do create.blade.php. And I am just going to copy all of this and change it. Well, remember, we didn't make this, but we made it as a Folio page. So now this is going to be called create. And let's just make sure our link works. Admin, users, create. Let's change this up. Now, because we're creating one, we don't actually have any users here. So I'm going to get rid of this. And we have another file for that, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it from here. Create a user, email. We have a back to users link that I'll add in a minute, and then we have a submit create button. So before I forget that, let's do now, because the day kind of got away from me while I was trying to record this, I am now recording this part of it a week later. Hopefully I'm going to pick it up exactly where we left off, but just so you know, that's where we are. As far as we are set up, we already have a page set up. We have our routes to create, update, and delete the user. And now we have this file here that we are going to be setting up. In order to do this, I am going to head over to the user controller so that we can start with that route. And for that, we're just going to use the store for this. And I am actually going to copy it from our register here. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. Let's go ahead and also change what we don't need. That should all be okay. Password, we're not going to need the validation on the password because we are going to just manually put password as the password. So I'll also do that here. This way we don't have to worry about that validation. We won't need to log them in, and our redirect, instead of dashboard, I'll just do for now admin users index, just for right now. Let's also make sure to import all of this stuff. It's the hash, and that should be good. Let's go back to the create. We'll work on that form, and we'll get this sorted. I am going to make the action be to our route. And for the route to create, it's going to be admin users store. The method will be post. And then here we just need the CSRF, and that should be good. For the input, I am going to change the value to be the Laravel helper of old name. And then I'm also going to grab the validation right here, just so that I don't have to type everything over. That will be name, and then I'll grab one for the email, and we'll have that here as well. Go ahead, save that. This is a submit button, and this should work. So let's try it in the browser. Go ahead, refresh, and we'll go ahead and insert some info, create, and now we have been sent back to the user's index, and this is today's date, and don't worry about this one, this is issues. We have a user saved. Now let's just go ahead and quickly check our validation, and that works. Great, we need to fix that as well. But what I want to do is when we create a user, instead of redirecting them back to this user's page, I want to actually send them to their own user page. So our route should be admin/users/1 or 2 or 3, whatever the ID number is, or whatever the model field is we're going to be using for this. I'm just going to be using ID to make it easier, but you could really use any one of the fields in the database to do that. Let's go and take a look at the documentation really quick so we can see what that's about. Now, if we head over to the Laravel documentation and we go to the Folio package, we head down to route parameters, you can see here that this is how that would be set up. We would run a command and then we could do whatever folder that we're in, and then we can pick whatever field in the database that we are going to be using. In this instance, to use this particular command, it would render in the users / straight brackets id.blade.php. It would create it like that, but our route would actually be users/1, right? Because it'll be looking for the user ID number. Now, also, this is how you would use it in the Blade file. You don't have to import anything. You don't have to use anything. You don't have to create any special tags for it. You can just access it just like this. You can also do multiple IDs the same type of way, and then you would be able to loop over them and use it as that. You can also do root model binding where you are using the specific user, and that would have the same effect as above. The page would just be created instead of ID in here, it will be the model. And that's what I actually want to do. But in the Blade file, this is how you would use it so that we have everything pretty much standard looking. I could use it like it is here, but in reality, I don't like that in the Blade files because then what ID is it? What model is it? What is this thing? And so I prefer to do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And before I do anything, I don't want to forget to, instead of admin users create here, this is going to be to the index page. So let's go ahead, paste in that command that we needed from that to generate that page for us. In here, if you take a look, we are actually having multiple folders in this pages folder to get to it. So for us, we're going to need to put admin/users to create that page for us. Here will be admin/users/user model. Run that command, head back, and if I save, there you see we have the new Blade file and everything is where it's supposed to be. So now to show you that this works, let's do user ID, just so that we can see just how powerful this little Folio package is. Now in here, instead of users, it's going to be users/1. And as you can see, the user ID is in here. We can do the same thing for user 2. Now the user ID is in here. So let's go ahead and add some styling to this page so that we can hook this up. Well, because we already have the essential styling for this in the Create Blade, I am going to copy this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. Now let's start from the top to the bottom and work our way down. We already know that this Folio Blade file already has the user ID in here, so we don't have to put anything special in this top section here to handle our named route. Here we can do users show, because that's what I'm going to call this route, is users show, because really that's what it is. We're able to view it. We're going to be able to update from here, but it is the show page essentially. For the top part here, instead of create a user, I am going to take this and say user, and then I'll put user name, just so that we know who we're dealing with here. And what I want to do is I want to come back to our little list of styled pages, and I want to grab it from here. Shrink this down so we don't really need that. And I am actually going to copy it from here, just so that we have everything. Which it's basically, I think I also copied that text, but it's okay. I'm going to get rid of this one and this one since we already have it. And that should hopefully not have broken anything. Now, the first thing that I want to do is save that. And now in our controller, we'll be able to redirect to it. So now instead of here, it'll be show. And then now we can also pass in the user. Now remember that blade file is looking for user like this. And we're going to say that that equals the user that we have created up here. So this is the one that we want to go to. So go ahead and save that. And let's see if creating a user will send us to that page now. Go ahead, refresh this, create. And now we are at users number 6, Carol Burke. So our redirect works from the controller to the folio setup that we have. So let's go ahead, fill this stuff in and see if we can edit the user as well. Now, because we already have this, I am going to grab this store function. I am going to put it in the update. For the email, it will not be like this. It'll be users email. And then instead of user class here, it'll be user ID, just so that we don't accidentally recreate the next user. And I think everything else will pretty much be the same. This doesn't need to be required, and neither does this. So now instead of user create, it'll be user update. Name, email, password, we do not have to worry about. And then we can leave everything else the same here. Now let's go to that user blade and set that up. So the action will be the route that we created. We need to pass in the user ID. The method will be post. We will need CSRF. And because Laravel doesn't have really anything set up for the patch method, we are going to also need the method helper function in here, which now we can put patch. Now it looks like I might have some sort of a styling issue in here. I don't quite know yet, so we're going to wait to see. I am going to give this a little bit of space and see if that helps. If it does not, fine. Let's try to continue on and see how we do. So here will be old name. Let's also grab the input errors because we do have validation on there. I'm going to come here, paste it here, name email. It should be good. We can leave the created at, that's fine. For the users, let me change this. Let's see if we get an error or what have you. And something is up. That user should be in here, but I'm going to pause the video and then take a look, and then I'll get back and show you whatever the issue was. Well, I came back to the page and this seems fine, but our values for the name, we can actually just use the user name because I forgot we have that. And the email. And this should be email. Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and refresh and let's just try updated. Found email 6 where clause. Okay, let's just go ahead and look at this validation real quick. Head over to the user controller. This actually needs a comma here on the validation. Let's try that. Try to submit it again. Let's do this. Refresh it. Okay, let's see what's up. Okay, sometimes the issue actually is because of a space. So let's see if that works. Okay, well, looks like it was updated. Let's try again. And then let's also change this to updated. Updated again is the new name. If we refresh, then all of that should be good. And why are we not seeing our date? Let's head back to the user blade and take a look. And that's because our value is just date. But what we did here was we formatted that so that we could see that with some nice formatting on it. I'm going to grab this. And I'm also going to change the link to this so that we can get to that page as well. This is that edit button. Pass in the user ID, and that should be good. Let's see what we have now. Go ahead, refresh, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of this. Go ahead and get rid of this and see if we are allowed to update, but you can see our data is there correctly. That user has been updated. We can go back to users, and now we can also go back to that specific user's page. Let's go ahead and quickly deal with the delete. That'll be it for the CRUD, and then we can move on. We will go ahead and start with that controller. And I am going to just copy this. For right now in our destroy function, I am going to paste that and it will be user delete. And instead of returning to a show page, that user won't be there anymore. So we can just go back to index. And that's what will happen after we delete the user. So let's go to our index and set that up. Now, I don't know why I actually used admin's update here, but I'm going to change that to show since all we're doing is showing the page for our form. We're going to pass in that user ID, and that should be good. But what I also want to do is, since we are getting that user from up top here, we don't even really need to specify the user ID. We could just say user, and this will be the user that we're passing in. And for the method that will also be post, we'll need our CSRF helper. And we'll also need the method because Laravel doesn't have this, or it's not built into the forms. For this, the one that we're going to be using is the delete. Let's go ahead, try to delete this user and see. p of type array integer given. Okay. Here we're running into a bit of a bug, and the bug is that because we're using Folio pages to add our redirects, this isn't going to quite work the way that the Laravel routes are working because we are using Folio. The named routes in Folio are looking for something very specific, which is not the user ID. I am going to put some straight brackets in here, and I'll say user, and that user will equal this user here. And we don't even need that. So I don't need to do it for the destroy because we're not actually redirecting to any specific page. Hopefully that one should be okay too. So go ahead, save that, refresh, and now we'll try to delete Carol Burke. Very cool. If I go ahead, refresh, she's still gone. And if I go ahead and edit, then we can be redirected back to that page like intended. Now, there are really two things that I definitely do want to show you here. And one is going to be part of this Folio thing, and the other is going to be a bonus thing. First, let's deal with the Folio part of it. Folio does allow you to use middleware because, as you can see, we don't have a user status or anything like that. What I want to do is separate users from being a user versus not being a user. I just want to have something really quick to show that. And then I want to use that status to determine whether or not the middleware will allow us to get to this page or not. And then we are going to leverage the middleware in the Folio service provider to handle that for us. Let's go ahead first, add that to the users table, and then we will go ahead and take it from there. So the easiest way that I am going to do this is if we go to our database migrations, we don't actually have isadmin or anything like that. So that's the field that I want to create. This is just going to be called add isadmin field to users table. Go ahead, let that run. We'll come over here and now we'll be able to access that here. This is going to be really simple. We are going to just do table. This will be a Boolean. The default, we're going to give it a value of 0. And I'm going to put it after the email column. And for the down function, I am going to do drop column is admin. So we don't have to change anything in the controllers at this point. We just need to make sure that we have that in the model, and this field will be recognized once we run it. So what I want to do is quickly have a user with the isadmin where that is 1 for an admin and the rest are 0 for non-admins. As you can see here now, all of our users have the isadmin of 0, and I'm just going to, well, I have just found out that this SQL or database does not allow me to change anything without having to do a manual query, which is fine. It's just, it's not something that I like. So I'm going to create a quick factory just to see this and get some random admins. Okay, so really quickly, I just added a isadmin field to the database. I created an isadmin variable up here where we are basically choosing from 0 and 1 and choosing it randomly for each of these users. And then in the database seeder, I am just seeding those. So in case you were curious as to how I did that, which means now in our database, we now have some random users that are 0 and 1. They either are or are not admins. Now that we have this set, we're going to use the middleware in the Folio service provider to basically allow us whether or not we're going to use this page. But first, what I want to do is I want to see what it is in our service provider that we actually have going on. And right now, we don't have any middleware associated with our Folio route. This star means everything under here is going to have a specific middleware. Now, because all of our pages that are handled by Folio all of them except for the welcome view, is a page that is on our backend, which we want authenticated users to only reach those pages. They can still head to the welcome page, but if you're not an authenticated user, you shouldn't be able to head to the dashboard or the users or anything like that. The first thing that I want to do is set it up so that our folio pages are covered by the middleware of auth. We're making sure that all of our folio pages are all covered under the auth middleware. So let's save that and see what happens. Now look at that. We have been redirected back to our login page as we're supposed to be. Let's try to log in with a user who's not an admin. Now I'm just going to grab this last one here because they have an isAdmin status of 0. Come over here and log them in. Now, this is an authenticated user. We haven't cut off anything in terms of whether or not they are an admin or not. All we're saying is that they have to be authenticated to be able to see this page, and this user is. Let's also go and add the username up here. And this should be in our layout. It's really easy. Since we're using blade files, we can just use the auth or auth user name. Okay, so Miss Lempy Rohan, our name is in here. Now we are an authenticated user, but we are not an admin, and we are still allowed to see this page. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and set it up so that only admins or users with an isAdmin status of 1 can see this page. If we come back here and we go back to our service provider, that's where we can do that. All of those routes are being covered by the auth middleware. What I want to do is now I want to add the admin/all, because anything within our admin folder, let me close this so it's easier. Anything within this admin folder, which includes our users folder, everything in there will be covered by this middleware that we're going to put in. Folio is really nice also because it sets it up so that you don't have to create new middleware for this. You can actually use something called an anonymous middleware. So we'll open up some brackets here, and then we'll create a function. This doesn't need to be public, and it doesn't need a name, but in here we'll do request closure next. These are all things that are included within middleware. Now also let's make sure to import these. It is going to just be closure, and it should be illuminate support or illuminate HTTP request. Let's get ready for the code. Here we can do an if statement, and then we can say if request user is admin equals 0, then what we can do in this case is return redirect to route dashboard. Else will return the next request. Okay, so what is this saying? If the request user is admin equals 0, meaning they're just a standard user, then they're going to be redirected back to dashboard if they try to hit anything within this admin folder. If not, then we can return the next request, which will be wherever we want it to go. So this should hopefully work. And as you can see, we're already redirected here, but if we go to users and we try to click anything in users, it's not going to let us go because of that middleware. Let's try users 1, not found, because the user is not actually allowed to get in here. And I think that might have been admin users 1. Yeah, even still, it redirects us back to the dashboard. So now let's log in as a user who is an admin. I'll just grab this one, copy email. And I really should have set up some kind of logout system. That would have been a lot easier. But bygones. We'll go to our cookies, clean out all those cookies, refresh, and now we've been redirected. Can close that. Go ahead, paste in that email, password. So now we are on the dashboard, and if we go to users, Now we can get to users. If we want to go to any specific user, we can, and we also can do it from up here. Now, as a bonus, I want to set up enums and see how we can also leverage this within Folio, just like we do with anything in the backend. I want to use enums to handle our admins. Now, what are enums? Enums basically just allows you to create these properties that you can verify against, or it's supposed to make things a lot easier and a lot more dynamic. So that's what I want to implement. There are a couple of ways you can do it. You can manually do it, but what you can also do is go to our terminal and we can do ph artisan, make enums, and I'm going to put it in the enums folder and I'm going to call it admin status. Did I not do that one right? Enum. Enum. So as you can see, it's made it in the app enums admin status. What are we going to do in here? Well, what I'm going to do is I am going to create two cases that we're going to check against. So we're going to say case user, and I'll put these in caps, equals 0. And then the case admin will equal 1. Now, what's this saying? It's saying that whenever we have a user, we're going to leverage their is admin status of 0. And if we're going to have an admin, we're going to leverage their is admin status of 1 without having to call user is admin equals 1. We can just say admin status user, admin status admin, and we can use it throughout the different pages. Now here, because we are using integers, I do want to have that be the case. This is all done. What we can do is we can head over to the user model and we can use that in the user model. Now we already have a set of casts in here, and this is where we can include it. The field that we are targeting is the admin is admin field, and we are going to say that admin status plus. Now that should have imported up top, and that's what we're going to be leveraging for this. Go ahead, save that. And now if we go back to our service provider, instead of having is admin equals here, I'll just copy that and comment that out. We can now do if request user is admin equals the admin status, so that we don't have to hard code this. Import it, and then we are looking for the user here. Make sure that's imported up top, and it is. And now our middleware should work the exact same for these pages. Go ahead and grab a user with the user status. Log them out, log in the admin. And now we are sent a dashboard, and that should be exactly what it is, because these users, this is not an admin, right? So that works the exact same way, the way it's intended. Let's go ahead and grab a admin again, and then we'll do something else that's pretty cool. On this users table, we have every single user here, and some of them are admins and some of them are standard users. Typically, when I do an admin panel for the users table, I won't include the admins in it. So how can we do that in the folio pages so that this is only showing the users? Well, let's go and take a look. Well, remember I said earlier that when we are doing these folio pages, at the top of them is where we can list certain things. Right now, we're listing all of the users to be displayed on this page, but we can set it up to leverage the enums that we have set up. So instead of users all, we can say user where is admin equals admin status user. And now instead of all, I prefer to put get. So let's also make sure to import this. Is that the correct folder? App enums, enums. So let's do this here. So now we should only be seeing admins where the is admin is technically 0. Great. So now we only see the users with the is admin equals 0, and we can verify that against our database. This Rihanna Parker should only be a user. If we take a look at our database, Rihanna Parker, which is the first one here, has an is admin of 0. So that is something that we can verify against. Now, is Folio for you? I can't tell you that. I can only say that from my experience and from doing this, it seems as though it is really powerful if you're just using static pages. Let's say you have some sort of folio or portfolio, right? That's something that's perfect for this because you may not have a lot of interactivity. You can also add Alpine.js to this. You can also add Vultr to this. You can add other things to incorporate JavaScript type stuff. But at the end of the day, you're still splitting routes. If you do need to do something with, let's say, a lot of CRUD, then you will be splitting your routes. And that may not be something that you want to do. If you're working with other people on a team, they have no idea what Folio is, then things can get pretty confusing. So you're going to have to take it case by case. But I do think that this is actually pretty cool for a very basic setup. Does it replace anything for you? I don't know, but let me know if you're using this or if you want to try it and see how you can expand it or do anything like that. Let me know how you guys are using this, if you're using this, or if you're absolutely not using this, even if you have a very static page. I would really like to know that. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.